The nobleman is signing someone to stop with a grim face. There lies a deceased man in the carriage, and the men around him are struck by sadness. One of them is offering the deceased the last rites. It has been a hard road for this diplomat. The road is muddy and dark. You can feel pneumonia hiding in this cold and dark atmosphere. The dead man in the carriage is Mikhail Agricola. He served the Swedish crown as a diplomat in his final years to resolve some border disputes with the Russian Empire. He was an early Lutheran priest who changed his Catholic background with the reformation of the church. Hard-working, intelligent man whose work became vital for linguistics. But he also carried the bad personality traits of a genius and saw people around him lazy and stupid. He was a persona non grata for many, but his exceptional intelligence made him eventually a bishop. Reformation was a massive force to the nations that fell under it. This new sect of Lutheran reformists wanted people to understand Christianity, instead of listening Mass in Latin and doing performances for muscle memory. The new church wanted more deeper knowledge in the matters of Christianity from the followers of the Christ. At first, priests were required to preach in Finnish, so that the common people would actually understand them and the Word of God. But it did not stop there. It soon pushed mass literacy to the population of Finland. In order to get married, a man and a woman must learn to read Christian catechism. Catechism is a basic summary of Christianity with the most important doctrines and passages from the Bible. This brought an aspect of eugenism to the Reformed societies, since illiterate people could not get the sacrament of marriage and start their own family. This literacy of catechism was tested regularly by a chaplain or a priest that marked how well did the church members read. There was no school building, but education was provided in some random peasant's house for the children and the teacher. Other than doctrine of Christianity and reading and writing, there was some basic arithmetics, but that was it. It was Mikhail Agricola that had a major role in this process as a Christian educator, but he did not teach the common people, but the new Lutheran priests. He wrote the basics of Finnish language down and translated several key doctrines in Finnish. He was the first person to turn the spoken language of Finnish into a written language, a major key moment. If a language is only spoken and does not exist in written form, then it will eventually perish. That is the cruel nature of cultural evolution, an existential concept that, for example, a native English speaker could never understand. Many of my ancestors' records exist in church and court books, but they don't exist in Finnish form, since their names are written in Swedish form, a language they could barely understand. A whole identity can be lost in translation. But now, when Finland was a language that could be written down, Finnish language had a chance to carry on in literacy, law, records, and etc. The whole civilized society could exist. It is also noteworthy to mention that Mikhail Agricola also wrote down the names of old Finnish pagan gods, and giving these ancient gods a new life. Ironic concept, since this man was a true follower of Luther's thesis, and he saw Roman Catholic pagan traditions as heresy. But is this only one important man, our only major figure for nation building from this institute of church? Definitely not. The church or the priest class was only class accessible to Finns. It was a class that you could access with meritocracy. Finnish peasant could reach tax exemption with cavalry service, but to become part of noble class was impossible. Only alternate option for these wealthy peasants was moving into priesthood. The church became the only institution that consisted large number of native Finnish speakers, which Mikhail Agricola may or may have not been. Anyway, these Finnish chaplains and priests, although higher caste than peasants, many times acted as a middleman between peasants and the nobles. Remember that Finns didn't speak the official language of the government, Swedish, and the chaplain could be their only hope into translating king's declarations and letters to them. And when the nationalism took hold in the 19th century and the dawn of independence was ahead, church was the institution to drive for it. There were several key figureheads whom without the Finnish nationalism could have not become a major force in the society. Another prominent figure at this time was a priest, Johann Ludwig Runeberg, whose nationalistic poetry created the romantic idea of a Finnish nation. Even after Finnish independence, several wars were fought against Finnish and Russian communists. Even then, most of the major right-wing figures appeared from the Lutheran Church. There were many so-called fighting priests who held a fierce nationalistic ideology in their hearts along Jesus Christ. The Finnish Jagers that made military victory possible against the Reds in civil war sworn their oath for Finland in a church. And the Finnish motto for nationalism took notice for this Lutheran religion as an institution that made everything possible. Koti, uskonto, isänmaa. Home, religion, fatherland.